Chapter 31 Karma. Give, and it shall be given unto you. For with the same measure that ye mete withal, it shall be measured to you again. Jesus. Karma is the recompense that one receives for both good and bad actions. When the scales are tipped in either direction, a balance must be paid. That is karma. The universe will repay us for the service we render. And if we do harm, we will pay the price. The non-action of Taoism and the disdain for attachment taught in Buddhism are attempts at avoiding any karma whatsoever so that the cycle of death and rebirth will end. If one makes no good or bad deeds, he or she may not need to live again to reap the rewards. The law of Moses tried to keep balance by requiring an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The word karma comes from Sanatana Dharma and the Hindu-based religions. But the idea is universal. The Apostle Paul wrote that we reap that which we sow. If we plant a peach seed, we get peaches. If we plant poison ivy, we get a rash. Wicca teaches that any harm sent out will come back sevenfold. Science and common sense tell us that for every action, there is a reaction. Some reactions are more obvious and immediate, like flipping a light switch to see. Others are more obscure or mystical, like thinking loving thoughts and having a better day as a result. But cause and effect are real. It is believed that some effects do not even show up in this life. All religions talk about how choices in this life have an effect on the next one. Jesus taught that we will be judged with the same judgment that we use to judge others. He also said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." We do not know the chain of events that leads to the actions of others, or what we would do if we were in their shoes. So it is good to give people the benefit of the doubt. We cannot assume that everyone born into difficult circumstances is getting their just deserts for an evil past life either. On one occasion, Jesus was asked if a blind girl was born that way as punishment for her previous sins, or if it was punishment for the sins of her parents. He replied that it was neither. We may choose hardships in life for many reasons. It could be to expiate wrongs that we've committed, or just to gain the experience. In the little girl's case, it was so that Jesus could show people his powers. Sin and righteousness. Unpleasant karma comes from making wrong choices, and that is all that sin really means, making the wrong choice. The Hebrews sinned if they didn't wash their hands before dinner. We now understand the logic behind the commandment, "You might get sick." Yahweh says, "Don't commit adultery," because promiscuity can spread disease and ruin relationships. The negative commands in the Bible were to educate people on what not to do for their own good. Likewise, positive commands, what we are told we should do, are also for our own good. Doctrine and Covenants 130:21 reads, "When we obtain any blessing from God, it is by obedience to that law upon which it is predicated." Or in other words, a specific good thing will happen if we make the choice that leads to it. Thus, righteousness is the right use of what should be common sense, and sin is the misuse of or lack of common sense. To build up pleasant karma, the religions of the world teach us to act correctly, do our duty, love others, have good thoughts, words, and deeds. Repentance. Karma is always good because it is either teaching us what we did well or clearing us from what we did not do well, so we can be grateful either way. If we make a mistake, one way to clear up the bad karma is to do what we can to correct the mistake. That is repentance. If we stole something, we can give it back. As Plato wrote in Symposium, the performance of every action is, in itself, neither beautiful nor ugly. When it is done well and rightly, it is beautiful, but when not rightly done, it is ugly. The act of sex, for example, can be performed in many ugly ways and many beautiful ways. When one has used it incorrectly, they may feel remorse, ask God or another person to forgive them, but whether they are forgiven or not will not stop what was put into motion, be it an unplanned pregnancy, STD, or what have you. Doing the right thing here and now can turn a misdeed into a beneficial learning experience. The LDS Bible Dictionary defines repentance as an overall change in action and attitude about something. Covering yourself in sackcloth and ashes accomplishes nothing. Making the best of a situation and moving on a little wiser than before is a more productive approach. Repentance brings forgiveness. Being humble enough to ask someone for forgiveness can mend relationships and our conscience. As we forgive ourselves and others, bad vibrations leave like a huge burden taken off of our shoulders. Fate, destiny, and free will. Karma can come back to us in this life or determine factors of our next life. So if you see a good person living a hard life, give it some time, they will get their reward. But just how much of a role does karma play in our lives? Cause and effect cannot be stopped, but it can be altered. I see life as a path that has been laid out. We will come to certain turns, pits, and boulders on our way, encounter people whose paths cross our own, etc. And that is our destiny. But we have free will in how we choose to respond to the various elements of our path. Two kids may be asked to do the same chore, and one will enjoy it while the other complains the whole while. It is our choice to enjoy life or not. Knowing that we can make choices on life's journey, we can affect the road ahead. One way of setting good things in motion is through service and charity to others. Every kind act benefits ourselves as well as those that receive them. So Malachi 3:10 says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it." Elder Ballard, an LDS apostle, wrote about a friend of his that led a different Christian church. The man began asking his congregation to offer 1% of their earnings to his church. But Ballard told him that they should pay 10% to receive more blessings. It is true that when we give freely to anyone or any organization out of goodwill, good things will come back to us. Amorc teaches this principle as the law of Amra that was taught in ancient mystery schools of Egypt. As you give, so shall you receive. The Masons have charities as well, such as the Shriners Hospital for Children. If you feel that an organization is beneficial to others and you are in a position to donate money, you will surely be blessed for doing so. But there are other ways of rendering charitable service without money. We can lend a listening ear, teach what we know, share a meal. There are endless possibilities of ways we can serve others. We can serve by planting trees, rescuing animals, or through innovative ideas that improve the quality of life for everyone. Judgment Day. Every time karma is at play in our life, which is all the time, we are being judged by the laws of nature. At the end of a life, we are judged again. The Abrahamic religions teach of one judgment at death. The judge may be Allah, Jesus, or St. Peter. In other ancient religions, it might be the ferryman or the messenger god that determines your fate. Latter-day Saints teach that a judgment took place after the war in heaven, when 1/3 of the hosts of heaven were cast out. Another judgment occurs at death to decide what part of the spirit world we will reside in while we wait for the resurrection. Then comes the final judgment by Jesus and his apostles, who designate what kingdom we will enter. If we look from an eternal perspective, we see that a judgment happens at the end of each life, like a final exam at the end of a semester. Just because one class has ended does not mean that there will be no more classes. It is my opinion that we judge ourselves while our life flashes before our eyes. There may be reporting of our life to others, but we will go where we are comfortable, and when the time comes, we will go where we need to in order to clear karmic debts and learn new things. Images of the judgment of our actions can be seen in the Roman goddess Lady Justice, holding a sword in one hand and scales in the other. Her blindfold symbolizes that she is no respecter of persons, but she is fair and just. The famous Egyptian Book of the Dead describes the soul's journey to a large scale, where the god Anubis weighs one's heart against that of a feather. If the heart is heavy, it is devoured by a crocodile. If it is light, the candidate may enter the abode of the gods. During the weighing of the heart, one must recite the 42 confessions of Ma'at. Strong similarities exist between the law of Moses, the law code of Hammurabi, and this Egyptian code. The confessions are as follows. I have not committed sin, committed robbery with violence, stolen, slain men or women, stolen food, swindled offerings, stolen from the gods, told lies, carried away food, cursed, closed my ears to truth, committed adultery, made anyone cry, felt sorrow without reason, assaulted anyone. I am not deceitful. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not been angry without reason. I have not seduced anyone's wife, polluted myself, terrorized anyone, disobeyed the law, been exclusively angry, cursed the gods, behaved with violence, caused disruption of peace. I have not acted hastily or without thought. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking, worked evil, used evil thoughts, words, or deeds, polluted the water, spoken angrily or arrogantly, cursed anyone in thought, word, or deed. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not stolen what belongs to the gods. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. I have not taken food from a child. I have not acted with insolence. I have not destroyed property belonging to the gods. Let us remember that what we do will come back to us, and then live accordingly.